Welcome to Dementia-Friendly Prince George's County, Maryland, Northern Sector Webinar Series for Caregivers. Today's topic is Brain and Body Health, Total Wellness by Cheryl Streeter, sponsored by Prince George's County Government and Department of Family Services.
We're going to be talking about total wellness. Total wellness. So let's jump right into it. First, I'd like to give a disclaimer because our purpose today is to share information, to have some educational information shared that we have gathered from various sources, as you can see here. We're not medical practitioners. We do not want you to think that this is medical advice that we're giving you, although we're going to talk about some medical issues that have been supported by data and research from these organizations. And we're not giving medical advice. While we're not giving medical advice, we do want to ask you to check with your healthcare provider to see what is necessary for you, because each of us are different and unique individually. And so let's talk about our brain. Let's talk about body health, what's best for us as we age and go forward. And hopefully you'll get some new gems of information that will help you to succeed at total wellness. Now, when we get older in life, we focus on different changes that happen in our bodies and in our minds. And we need to think about our brain and body health even more so than when we were younger, because we simply assumed then that it would correct itself and we were healthy and young and didn't have to worry about it. So one way that we can look at it now is through the lens of what we call total wellness. And by total wellness, I mean that these 6 areas that are listed here are the things that we have to focus on. We may have success in some of them, but need to work on others. And so striving to achieve a healthy balance in all aspects of your living is what we want to think about and talk about today. So how do we get better through total wellness? These are the areas we're going to focus on. So let's start with this first one, mental and brain health, there with the black dot. Brain and mental health, when you think about that, you start thinking about depression and dementia. Those are the things that hit the elder population very much so. In fact, approximately 30% of the adults over the age of 65 in America suffer from depression. 30% of the adults over the age of 65. That's a large number. And according to the U.S. Census Bureau 2020, as for dementia and Alzheimer's disease, 1 in 8 adults over the age of 71 suffer from these diseases. That is significant. More frequently, we see brain and mental health issues in older adults showing up as depression, anxiety, Alzheimer's, other forms of dementia, and also alcoholism. Now, depression itself is serious, and it's an often silent disease, and it's caused by many factors. Sometimes medications are prescribed that add to depression, and sometimes the medications that they treat the depression with have varying degrees and levels of effectiveness. Events, relationships, and even our diets can trigger things that are happening in our mind mentally. Depression, for example, let's look at some of the causes and cures. Most frequently, it's seen as a brain and mental health issue, but it's serious. It's often a silent disease. Some causes of depression may be the loss of a loved one, loss of your independence, your mobility, some of your friends, you not having a purpose in life. Your self-esteem may go down, chronic illnesses, even as I said earlier, the side effects of some medications. Now, we're familiar with some of these losses, but others like our purpose, our self-esteem, those are a little more subtle, but they can be just as debilitating. Our medications, the average person over the age of 65 takes 5 to 9 medications. Many have sedating effects that affect your thinking. They slow you down. They give you a drowsy effect. They can make you sleepy, and you tend to simply sit around more or sleep more. We've got to recognize the symptoms of depression if we're going to try and combat depression. Some of the symptoms are loss of interest in things, which may be masked by well, I'm just too tired today, or I don't feel like it. There may be some empty feelings inside. You just can't put your finger on it, but just something's different that makes you not want to continue doing some of the things you did before. Some of the aches and pains in our bodies as we age, some of those pains that won't go away, regardless of the treatment that we have for them. Problems in our relationships with others, whether it's our family members, friends, community members, just a difference of opinions with someone politically or religious. All of these things can add to depression because it's simply an ongoing sadness and hopelessness. What do you do about those symptoms? Well, number one, recognize the symptoms for what they are and talk to your medical health provider about them. Stay engaged with others because you may not see the change in you, but someone else may. And by staying engaged with others socially, it may combat the depression because it gives you something to do, something to look forward to. And hopefully that person you're socializing with is a positive and upbeat person. Try to avoid the negative people in your life. And if you're a negative person, try to be around more positive people so that they can pull you up also. And then stay physically active. You don't have to run a race. You don't have to lift hundreds of pounds of weight, but simply be physically active. Even if it's sitting in a chair, lifting your hands, moving your body, dancing to a beat on the radio or something. Stay physically active. And if necessary, seek professional help if needed. And if you don't see the need, but you have several family members or friends that are telling you there's a need, there just may be a need. So mention it to your healthcare provider anyway. So what about dementia and Alzheimer? We talked about depression. We used to believe that this was a part of normal aging. It is not. We now know that it is not. Because if it were, we would all have it because we're all aging. Alzheimer and dementia is a disease process where the cells in your brain die and our behavior and our cognition are affected by them. We talked about these things before. Progressive brain disease, it's irreversible. Alzheimer's is the most prevalent of several types of dementia. But 2/3 of the American women will have Alzheimer in their lifetime. That's a large number. And the onset of it is not immediate, it's gradual. Sometimes you won't even see it until it gets progressively worse. And then oftentimes you may still be unaware of it, but others may notice the change. And that's why I said earlier, when you're surrounded by people who know you and they see you changing, if they mention something to you about your forgetfulness or about your depression, about your change of mental health, take note of it and talk to your doctor about it. The most common early symptom is difficulty remembering newly learned information, new words, new trains of thoughts, recent things that have occurred. Dementia patients and Alzheimer's patients oftentimes can remember things from way back in their lives, in their past, but more recent things, they have difficulty pulling it up from their brain. Now, there are medications that can slow down the progression of the disease, but there is no cure. So stay connected to what your medical healthcare providers say to you. And with Alzheimer's, know the risk that involved. While I said that there was no cure, there is research, and they are finding that there are some risks that are associated with Alzheimer that if we avoid these things can push back the level of Alzheimer or the progressive quickness of it taking over our bodies. There are some things we simply need to avoid. And one of the significant problems is with sugar, as noted with diabetes and impacting high blood pressure. The brain inflammation in Alzheimer has sometimes been linked to excessive sugar consumption. It's believed that excessive sugar consumption can lead to the formation of plaque on the brain, and that plaque is very present in Alzheimer's diseased individuals. So we have to look at our diet and how much sugar we're taking in. In addition, depression. People with a history of depression have a twofold increase of dementia. Sitting around, being inactive, increases the risk of Alzheimer's disease. There's a lack of mental stimulation. If you're not doing puzzles, word search, learning new things, being conversant with people, getting out of the house more to socialize, all of those things that stimulate your brain cells to build and to connect and to continue to grow. If we're not doing those things, we add to our risk of Alzheimer's. Smoking, excessive drinking, all of those increase the risk of heart attacks and contribute to the Alzheimer's as well. And then, of course, traumatic, repeated head injuries from falls or from violence. These are things we have to look out for because they all add to our risk. So what we have to do is make positive health choices. If you think about it, our overall health is 20% made up of genetics, what we get from our moms and our dads. 20% is medical care, how well we seek medical attention to things that are going wrong with our bodies or things that are changing with our bodies. But a whopping 60% is within our control. It's our social environment. It's our behavior, whether or not we're smoking and drinking, overeating, or eating the wrong things. Environmental factors. Are we living in an environment and in a place where we're at risk to injury, to harmful chemicals getting into our bodies? All of these things are within our control to some degree. And so if 60% of our health is within our control, we should focus on how do we work on that 60% so that we can impact our health and then seek medical attention for that we cannot control, which takes us up to 80%. And then just thank mom and dad for our even being here for that genetic portion. Now let's look at our physical will as part of this total wellness. The physical wellness is very important. Exercise affects the brain on multiple fronts. It increases your heart rate, which pumps more oxygen to the brain, which stimulates the growth of brain cells and connections between the brain cells, and it causes a drop in our stress hormones. So check in with your physician and then get moving. Get moving. St. Luke's Network for Healthy Living says, get your tail on the trail. So whether you're walking, skipping, jumping, or sitting outside just doing leg lifts, slow motion, jumping jacks, something just to get moving, we've got to do that. As little as 3 hours a week of brisk walking has been shown to halt or even reverse some of the brain shrinkage that starts in a person in their 40s. Getting moving is very important. Brisk walking, chair exercises, whatever it takes. Exercise can increase the volume of the brain, the actual number of nerve cells or neurons, and the number of connections between those nerve cells. Exercise also helps prevent diabetes and heart disease, and it can fight depression. Look at these seniors sitting here. They just have their arms raised, and it may look like they're not doing much. But sitting down, lifting your arms, spreading your arms wide, circling your arms in a circle, even forward and sometimes backward, all of that movement, all of that motion is good exercise. And if you think not, just think about the musical conductors for an orchestra, for example. And then stand in front of a mirror and just move your hands for 5 minutes as if you're conducting an orchestra. You can feel your heart racing after a couple of minutes and you're breathing heavier. That's aerobic exercise, and it's very important. Walking is a good start, but increase the intensity in small increments to just make certain that you're getting some movement in your bodies. And then some more physical wellness to check on. Hearing aids, new glasses, get a walking cane or a walker if you need it. Don't be ashamed that you need these corrective tools. That's what they're there for. Seniors take Tai Chi exercise classes. They're stretching exercises, but in slow motion, so you don't feel the need to have to keep up with the young people who are doing fast aerobics. No, we can do our exercises too, and it doesn't have to tire us out so that we fall out. Survey your home. Check to make certain that it's very safe for you. So that if you are walking in the house because it's cold now and you don't want to go outside, there are no loose rugs that you would fall or trip over. Make certain that you're checking for all of those different things. If you are a drinker and you drink alcoholic beverages, do it moderately. Try to do it moderately. If all else fails and you can't do it moderately, perhaps it's time to stop and change to a non-alcoholic version of whatever drink it is that you like. But set some realistic goals so that you can achieve them, and you'll make a note of your progress, and that'll make you want to do even more. Now, keep in mind, physically active, obese people live longer than thin, inactive people. So know that being thin doesn't give you a pass on taking care of your physical well-being. You can be thin and still need to exercise. You can be thin and still be unhealthy. So follow these wellness strategies regardless of your size and weight. Now, some more physical wellness. Check on your hospitals, health clubs, local colleges, senior citizen centers. All of these have fitness classes for seniors. There are a lot of baby boomers around, and so they know they have to accommodate us. And so many hospitals will have classes for them. The health clubs usually have special hours, usually early morning hours, because seniors tend to get up earlier. Local colleges, especially here in Maryland, the University of Maryland and Prince George's Community College, all have classes for seniors. And take a note that many of these classes are free for seniors. You don't have to pay for them. So check out what's available where you are. And then find out about some self-management classes. How do you deal with chronic behavior? How do you deal with some of the illnesses that you have? And many hospitals, they have support groups for those who are diabetic or have high blood pressure or heart disease. We've got to learn to balance what we know is wrong with how to correct it. There are some self-management classes for mental health as well. So take care of yourself, get proper sleep, eat a healthy diet. Try not to stay up late watching TV. You need 7 to 9 hours of sleep, whether you know it or not. During that downtime, your brain is recharging itself. It's renewing itself. It's resting, and our brains need that. With your diet, make certain that you're controlling cholesterol, that you're not eating too much meat, that you're not consuming too much sugar, and that you're not eating a lot of processed food that has no nutritional value at all. Try to eat as many raw fruits and vegetables as possible. Aging is not lost youth. It's a new area of potential for us, a new stage of opportunity and strength. Don't look at yourself as aging and coming to the decline in your life. Think of yourself as aging and coming to a new mountain that you want to climb because you know it's better up there and it's better on the other side. Let's look a little more into eating a healthy diet, because this is where sometimes we tend to get confused. We talked about aerobic exercise, where 30 to 40% less mental decline takes place when we do that exercise. Well, when we eat well, it also allows us to live better and to live longer. Aging is not about loss. No one leaves this world young. We leave once we're old and our time is up. But while we're here, do all that you can to remain healthy. This slide shows one of many diets that are considered healthier than the standard American diet, which is really filled with excessive meat and a lot of processed food. But I want to encourage you to question whatever you consider to be a healthy diet and work with your doctor to find what works for your mind, what works for your body. The conventional wisdom says that a healthy diet has been challenged here in the United States for what we had believed for the last 20 years. And as a result, we have obesity, we have diabetes, we have high heart disease rates. They've increased over the past 20, 30 years. Although what we said was a healthy diet, people started following it. What we need are more whole grains. We need to consume more fiber. We need to reduce excessive sugar consumption, especially high fructose corn syrup and soda drinks. We tend to drink a lot of soda here in America, and many of those have been linked to health issues. Even when we switch to what's considered to be healthy additive drinks, some of those, if you read the back of the can, you'll see several grams of sugar in small containers. A lot of sugar, a lot of salt is not good for you. We've got to balance and have more low-fat foods. We've got to balance and have more dairy products that are low-fat as well, or avoid it altogether. Adequate fluids, not sodas, not sugar-laced juices, but try more water in your system. Drink half of your body weight in water every day. If you like juice, water the juice down some so that you're not consuming so much sugar. Look into other healthy meal plans. Talk to your healthcare provider about it. Check at your senior citizens community center because they usually have a lot of healthy information there for you as well. Just make certain that you're doing what's good for you so that you can have the healthiest body possible. And a final note when we're talking about the total wellness with our physical health is to talk about alcoholic drinks. Sometimes when you're alone at home, you may tend to drink a little more because you're lonely, you have nothing else to do. Whether you're drinking sugar drinks, too much coffee, or you're drinking alcoholic beverages. Remember, at our older age, our bodies react differently to the alcohol that we're consuming. What we were able to drink when we were in our 20s, 30s, 40s, we're not able to drink that amount when we're in our 60s, 70s, and higher. And our bodies have a 30% greater reaction to the alcohol that we do consume. Older adult women, we're more vulnerable to the effects of alcoholism than men are. And we show more behavioral signs than men do. As loud as we think they are and as belligerent and how we see their behavior sometimes at sporting events, women are just as bad. And we have to be aware of things like that and try to do better. If you think about it, if our bodies are affected more by alcoholism as we age, instead of drinking 2 or more drinks, perhaps it should be 1. In fact, the guideline for men is that they drink no more than 2 alcoholic beverages a day. And for women, no more than 1 alcoholic beverage a day. Well, why the difference? Because of the difference in our metabolism, the difference in the enzymes in our bodies, and the difference in the amount of water that we consume as we age. These are differences that we have to keep in mind. And if you do have an alcohol problem or you know someone who does, there is help that you can get for the alcoholism. In addition to the AAA, start by seeing your doctor. Talk with your doctor. Let them know what's going on in your life. They may recommend to you a trained substance abuse counselor. Or if you know someone who has been through this before, who has helped others to make it through, you may want to talk to that person as a starting point. But do not delay in getting help. Find a support group with older adults who not only understand the alcohol problem, but understand its impact on you as an older adult. And if necessary, join a 12-step program. Alcoholics Anonymous is a very good program. And the AARP also has brochures about it. So you can become informed about the disease. Or if you're going to help someone else, you can get some of those brochures like the one shown here on the AARP website and share that with the individual. You may want to do it anonymously if you think that they're going to react in a negative way, but at least you've shared the information and you've gotten them to thinking that perhaps they should seek additional help. Emotional wellness. We've talked about our health. Let's talk a little about our emotional wellness. When we talk about emotional wellness, Recognize and appreciate your strengths, your accomplishments, and not only yours, but those of others. Even if someone counts you out, don't you count yourself out. Accept that there are a wide range of feelings in yourself and in others. There are things that are going on as we age. We may or may not understand everything that's happening in our body. But what we can do and what we should do is try to understand that each of us as individual people deserve respect for our value system, respect for our beliefs, respect for our morals. They don't all have to match. We don't have to agree with everyone around us, but we should respect one another. And if we respect one another, that will reduce some of the conflict that we see going on in America today. So identify which emotions are working out well for you and focus on those emotions. Those things that are negative, try to find a positive thing within them. But if you're around people who are very negative, if you're around situations that are constantly calling upon you to think about the negativity that's going on, the fight between the religious sides, the fights among the political sides, the fights among the social economic systems of the haves and have nots. Withdraw yourself from that and try to cope with less anger, less stress, but surround yourself with a social group of people who have the same mindset that you have, but want to move forward in a positive, more uplifting way. If you don't, be aware that symptoms of depression, anxiety, alcoholism, and just plain negativeness may become prevalent in your life. Now, realistically, we can't change anyone, but what we can do is control and monitor ourselves and the people that we surround ourselves with. Know when to reach out for help, but also know when to withdraw from situations that are simply too negative for you to be able to emotionally bear them. And there's nothing wrong with you having to withdraw from some situations. As we age, the people around us will change. Our needs will change. You should have an intergenerational group around you, some teens, some young adults, some older adults, so that you have a good mix of people to help you emotionally. But you want to make certain that you're looking out for your well being. What matters most is not what others see or think of you, but what you see and what you think of yourself. The goal is not for you to be a Superman or a Superwoman, but for you to feel some emotional peace. Think about the inner dialogue that you have in your head every day. Are you saying kind things to yourself? Do you spend as much time appreciating yourself, appreciating the things that you have achieved in life? Or do you talk about yourself and chastise yourself for every mistake that you've made? How much time do you spend appreciating your life, reminiscing the good things that you've accomplished? Talking to the people who've made a positive impact in your life. Those are the things that you should do, all with every waking moment until the time you go to bed at night. Silence that inner critic that you have in your mind, and that will be the first step toward better emotional health, which will help you get to what we're going to talk about now, which is the social wellness. Once you have arranged and rearranged things in your mind mentally and emotionally within your heart, now you're ready to get out among the people. So stay involved, get engaged with a new group of people. Don't give up on old friends, but just add some new ones to your circle. That helps to keep you engaged. It's a new way of expressing your feelings, controlling your stress. Know what your needs are so that you can identify the types of people you'd like to have around you. Then you can take an active part in your community. Then you can interact with family members because all of your family members may not be the ones you want to deal with on a daily basis. But there will be some that are just what you're looking for to help lift your spirits. Your needs are unique. So know yourself. Talk to yourself about what you want to see going forward. And then when you're active in the community, think about volunteering. Whether you're volunteering to read to children at the library, there's also a phone reading service where you can read bedtime stories over the telephone to children who may have parents who work at night or children who may not live with both parents. All of this helps you to focus on improving your communication because being able to communicate well is a vital component of the social wellness. Generally, you want to be able to initiate new relationships, initiate new conversations. You want to be the one to reach out to those that you see around you who may be socially isolated. So try new activities with them. Offer new activities for them as well. And then take some courses, whether it's self-management for you emotionally and socially, or learning to cook, learning to draw and paint, learning a new language, learning a new exercise, a new sport, pickleball, bowling, whatever it is. Make it a practice to constantly work on social connections. And soon you're going to see there's an abundance of what we call social wellness, simply staying engaged with life. It's a recipe for aging better. We're all going to age. We simply want to do it better. We simply want to do it in a positive way. And then the spiritual and inspirational wellness. Everyone should have some purpose in life. There should be some goal that you wish to achieve. There should be something that gets you up in the morning, that keeps you going throughout the day. Maybe your purpose now has changed from what you had earlier in life. Early in life, you may have had a goal of raising your children to be good, responsible adults. Maybe the goal that you had was one where you wanted to help your children go through college, raise their children. Maybe you were working as a social worker and you helped those who were less fortunate. And now that's behind you. Well, your purpose doesn't have to stay back there. You can develop a new purpose in life. Yes. Think about when you were younger. What were some of the things you wanted to do? Did you achieve everything that you wanted to achieve? Are there still some things on your bucket list that you'd like to do? Bucket lists aren't always places you'd like to go. It may be things you wish to do, achievements you want to accomplish, people you'd like to meet, books you'd like to read, or even books you would like to write. We all need a purpose in life. What's your purpose? And are you pursuing it every day? Have you written it down? Do you have a plan of how you want to reach that goal? Our spirituality, our inspiration, all of it is not always linked to a church, a synagogue, a temple, or a religious organization. But we'll have a purpose in life that we're pursuing. So maybe it's time you rethink the meaning of life for yourself. We all help others. We've all helped others all of our lives. Now's the time for us to maybe focus on ourselves. What is something that gives you meaning in life? And how do you want to pursue that? Because as you pursue it, you may find others who disagree with you. Does it matter? Not really. Because it's your belief, it's your meaning, it's your purpose. And that's why we also have to be tolerant of the beliefs, purposes, and the meanings that other people have. Too often in America now, and actually all across the world, I see the conflicts between people because we're trying to force someone else to accept our beliefs, to accept our purposes, to believe and understand what we believe and understand. But we don't all have to think alike. If you think about it, we were all made uniquely different. So why must we all try and be just like one another? If we're tolerant of the beliefs of others, we can reduce the stress in our lives very much to a very large degree. Be tolerant of the beliefs of others. their background, where they're from, how they were raised, their ancestors, their parentage. All of those things play a role in their beliefs, just as it does for us. So as we explore our own values, our own beliefs, our own morals, yes, we can share them with others, but there's no need for us to try and force them on others because that conflict increases the stress that we have, which will impact our mental well-being, our physical well-being, our emotional well-being, our spiritual well-being. That's 4 of the total wellness circles that we're talking about today. So have your own values guide, your own way of making decisions, your own way of saying, here's the action plan that I have that I'm going to put in place for what I want to do. And if someone asks you about it, you'll be able to share that with them. But don't feel bad if they disagree with it or if theirs different. If theirs is different, that's fine. You don't have to adopt theirs. You don't have to force yours on them. The care and act for the welfare of others is very important. We're only here for a limited time. I would like to see all of us leave a legacy of something positive, that in our own little corner of the world, we left an imprint that became a footprint for someone else to follow. And in that imprint, in that footprint, there were some positive values, there were some good core beliefs, there were some moral inspirations that we shared that will help somebody else. And there are definitely some young people coming behind us who need to know the things that we've been through, the things that we know, and we need to share that wisdom with them. Someone shared with us when we were younger. It helped us. We can help others. So for our spiritual inspiration, life doesn't have to wind down once you reach a certain age unless you decide to wind it down. Research has shown that there is a purpose. If you have a purpose, it can actually alter your immune system. It can alter your body's physical and mental ways. Your life's purpose and your goals will continually evolve. What you want to do right now at this age, in 5 years, it may change. And when it changes, you change with it. Reevaluate your place in the world, the things that you're doing. If you want to stay on track for what you're doing, stay on track. If you want to do something different, do something differently. Truthfully, we're all always in a process of continually changing and becoming until we stop living. So keep on looking at and rethinking your life and how it should be and your purpose and what it should be and how you want it to look. All of that is your spiritual wellness. And then your intellectual wellness. This one's very important as well. Mental stimulation is the key. It is definitely a key concept and a key component to everything that we do. We should all try to do something new and creative and productive as much as possible. We can get in a rut if we're not careful. Yes, we have this ironclad, wonderful way of living and doing things. But what if we just threw a little wrench in there and did something a little different? Instead of reading the romance novels that you always read, throw in a technical guide about learning how to do something on the computer, perhaps. Take up a painting class. Learn how to swim or play pickleball or tennis or bowling, golf even. Keep abreast of social and political issues, but not if it's going to depress you. Join discussion groups and share your ideas with others. Listen to their ideas. Perhaps maybe the disagreements that we have across the country is that we haven't stopped long enough to listen to one another and discuss some things that need to be discussed, to hear the other side out. You may still disagree with them afterward, but at least now you have a more complete understanding of what they're thinking. The important thing for intellectual wellness is to continue to learn and grow. Find something that you're interested in. Find a friend that's interested in it as well, and the two of you go together. You can learn a new language. You can learn a new instrument. Learn to play the piano. I mentioned at my church that I wanted to learn how to play the guitar. And before I knew it, 2 church members had purchase me guitars. I have an electric one and I have one of the acoustic guitars. I'm going to take the lessons. I want to learn how at my age. I may only learn 2 or 3 songs, but I'm going to learn it. And then do some mind building exercises, whether they're crossword puzzles and games, word searches, puzzles, whatever it is. There are some that the AARP has on its website, and there are some that are listed here. Try those to keep building your mind. So even if you're sitting at home and you can't get out or you're bedridden, there's still some things you can do to keep your brain active. On the television, on the internet, YouTube, TikTok, all of those have a lot of classes. There are cooking classes on YouTube where you can learn how to make Chinese food dishes, learn Mediterranean dishes. You can learn Italian dishes, how to cook Mexican food from scratch. So many different things, baking from scratch, how to can peaches and preserves and make jellies and different things. There's a wealth of information out there. And even at your community centers, even take some classes to increase and improve your intellectual wellness. So we've talked about these 7 types of total wellness. Let's recap them so that you can develop a 7-step plan to get moving. First thing is define your health and wellness goals. We talked about 7 different areas there. What are your goals for emotional health, physical, mental, spiritual health? What is it that you want to do or that you feel you need to do so that your social and emotional health and your mental health is better? Write down what your realistic motivations are, not just the goals, but why you want to achieve them. So that when you look at that goal, if suddenly you don't want to do it, then maybe you think about, well, I wanted to learn how to speak Spanish because 2 of my grandchildren are taking Spanish now. And maybe I can help them with their homework, or when they finish their class, the 3 of us may take a trip together and use our new language skills. So write a motivation for each of your goals. And then try to find a partner to go on the journey with you, whether it's a friend, a family member, or a complete stranger that you meet at the senior center, at your community center, or at your church even. Someone who can walk through that journey with you and enjoy the journey. Detail the plan so that you can get started. Once you say, here are my goals, here's my motivation, here's who I'm going to do it with, okay, how are we going to do it? Let's write down the details. Let's put some timelines on it, some milestones that in 6 months I want to have achieved this. After 1 year, I want to be at this point. And build in some rewards for yourself as you reach each of those milestones. Do something for yourself to congratulate yourself. That will help to encourage you to keep moving. Track your progress. That also adds on to your dialogue that you get to brag about what you're doing as you age. You're becoming better. That's what you're doing. So celebrate your courage, celebrate your success. You alone are responsible for moving your life forward. There are some resources available to you, but you alone must get it started. Kick it off so that you can get going. Resources, I saw some of these mentioned when we first started, when Dominique was talking, but there are many resources available to you here in Maryland. The Mental Health Association of Maryland, the National Institute on Aging, Alzheimer's Association of Maryland, Maryland Department of Aging, AARP has a wealth of information. So check out all of these resources so that you will have up-to-date information to help you on your journey. The reference material that I've used today are listed here as well, so that you will know the source from which I gather this information, whether I was talking about alcohol abuse, mental health, some of the things dealing with Alzheimer, the exercise, talking to your doctor. All of those are factual, data-driven information that we have researched and found to be true. Again, data is changing, medical issues are changing, medical research is changing. So check with your health care provider for the latest and greatest information for yourself. But whatever you do, notice and understand that total wellness, your brain and your body health, is within your hands. You can control it, and there are resources available to help you do so. Thank you for your time today. I've enjoyed talking with you.